The game that we were all looking forward to, Argentina versus Brazil, got stopped after 7 minutes after the Brazilian health authorities tried to apprehend 4 Argentinian players. Let's talk about that in one moment. Hello everyone and welcome to another edition of Extra Time TV. This is Andre Sooklal and I'm going to head straight into this. We have a very special episode because I always say that. Argentina was supposed to take on Brazil today in a World Cup qualifier for the 2022 World Cup. And usually these games are always filled with drama. And when you think you've seen it all in football or heard it all, this comes along. And what do I mean by this? We were all confused and scratching our heads what took place with this game. Why did it stop? We saw what was going on, and immediately everybody was taking to social media and trying to figure out what was going on. So what we're going to do different on EXTV is that we're going to break down the facts. I have my PowerPoint presentation here to try to summarize the facts in a way that's condensed and not too long so we can understand what's going on, because there's a lot of opinions going around. So all my facts here are based on authentic news sources. We always pride ourselves on this. ESPN FC, BBC News, guys like Gab Makotti, Tim Vickery, and many others as well. So I'm going to summarize it for you guys and gals out there. And we did our usual routine as we always do. We had our PS5 sim. You can check that out below. Obviously, it went completely nothing like the sim. You can check that out. We do that for all games. So I'm going to break it down. So just to start things off, Argentina was, as I said before, supposed to take on Brazil. And, 7 minutes into the game, some authorities came on the pitch and people were confused what was going on. So apparently the Brazilian health authorities tried to apprehend the 4 EPL-based Argentinian players for basically violating what they perceive to be the protocols concerning COVID-19. So now I'm going to go back and explain and give you a little bit of context as to how this works. I'm going to read this point by point, so we're going to have to go back to a couple of weeks ago in a sort of timeline. So a couple of weeks ago, the news coming out from England, of course, the UK, it's that the English Premier League were not allowing players to leave to go on international duty where it was considered, on the red list. Brazil is one of those countries. Funny enough, the UK is one of those countries. So, for example, just to break it down, if you are within one of those countries, so for example, let's use the Argentinian players. If you have been within the UK within the last 14 days, you have to quarantine for 10 days. It's just that simple. That's the rules. And the EPL was having none of it. They said, listen, we're going to be losing a lot of players, so way too long. The risk is too high. And that was the initial discussion that took place a couple of weeks ago. However, Argentina eventually got permission to send their 4 players in question, which is Lo Celso, Bonita, Romero, and Martinez. The goalkeeper that was amazing for the Copa America. And Brazil decided not to send any of their players from the Premiership. But the game was allowed to go ahead. Argentina played their game against Venezuela. Brazil played their game. And it seemed as if everything was okay. And this is where the facts come in handy. And I'm going to break it down as much as possible. And I will allow you all to decide based on the facts what you all think. I know what I think. But we'll see at the end. So, before a ball was kicked, basically the EPL made that statement, but somehow there was an arrangement made and they went down to South America and it started off. So, it is allegedly claimed, and I'm using allegedly, by the Brazilian health authorities that the 4 Argentinian players in question were dishonest about their forms when entering Brazil. Obviously, when you go into a country, you have to fill those forms out. They're claiming that they were not honest about the fact that they were in the UK within the last 14 days. That's the claim, which I find hard to believe, but whatever, that's the claim. And as a result, they should have been, immediately deported or not allowed to play in the game. Leading up to the game, there were some reports going around that they were going to try to deport the players. And, that immediately kind of raised my eyebrows that something's going on, because something always goes on in these games. Let's be honest. Whenever Argentina plays Brazil, it's crazy. So that's the main criteria for their thing. Now, there's more to this, believe it or not. It's not as simple as it sounds. So at first it seems like, okay, according to this allegation, the Argentinian players were wrong and they should have just, not played. But that's not entirely the case, folks. So we're going to move along. I'm trying to break this down as much as possible. The Brazilian authorities, because I'm thinking you're asking, Argentina was in Brazil, I think maybe 2 to 3 days before the game. So everybody's asking, I think it is alleged that Leo Messi as well made that statement. Why did you wait until the actual game to do this? Which makes a lot of sense, right? These guys are at the hotel. They're very easy to find. I've worked around national teams and professional teams in football and cricket, and I can tell you, it's very easy to find these guys. Getting access is one thing, but if you are the authorities, that, supersedes everything. So a lot of people are asking, well, why didn't they get them at the hotel, at the training facilities? I'm pretty sure everybody knows where they are. They've done this so many times. So, that's the question. So the authorities claim that, and this is where it gets a little bit weird, I guess, that they tried to approach the Argentinians before the match, but the changing room was locked at the stadium. So as a result, when the game started, they went onto the field aided by the police or the local authorities. So it seems as if they are claiming that they tried and, they could not, which I find hard to believe, but that's what they're saying. And they had to wait until that point to go on the field, which I still find is crazy. Everybody looks surprised by it, including the Brazilians, but it's not as sinister as you think with the players. I think all parties agreed, but we'll move along. Let's move along as well. So after what seemed like a little bit of a, I wouldn't call it a scuffle, that may be an exaggeration, but it pretty much, you could see something was going on. I mean, the videos are there for you all to see. I won't put them for copyright reasons. Eventually after the on-field mix-ups, and I think there were a couple shoves exchanged and so on, not with the Argentines and the Brazilian players, but with the authorities, because you can imagine somebody's coming to arrest you at a game. Now, like it appears here as if the Argentinians are guilty, but we'll continue. They decided eventually to just leave the game entirely, and they decided, you know what, we're done. And I think a lot of people were not sure if the game was going to continue, if they were going to come back on, if they were going to get rid of the 4 players and just continue the game and have them immediately deported or whatever. I think the agreement was, or the suggestion was made, and we'll elaborate on that further, that okay, get rid of these 4 guys, play with anybody else. And I think that was kind of what they were going at, and Argentina was having none of it. So, however, let's move along. Let's see. So there's more to this, and like I said, for you guys in the comment section right now, you can let me know what you think. The AFA, however, the Argentine Football Association, argues that the protocols that were being used were not applicable, and the protocols used at the Copa America were being used by them. And CONMEBOL and the Brazilian federal government agreed that the quarantine rules did not apply, but the Brazilian health authority seemed to overrule this. So what this means is that both football associations agreed, as well as the Brazilian government. However, the health authorities, who seem to have total authority in this particular situation, have, they overruled everything and said, no, that's not happening. You cannot play this game. So in case you're wondering, it's not like the Argentinians just went in there and did whatever they want. They had a discussion with CONMEBOL, the Brazilian FA, and the local, the Brazilian government to play this game. And that's why it went ahead. They got permission to go ahead. However, the Brazilian health authorities was having none of it, and they decided to stop. So they are arguing that, listen, we were given permission to come here, and now you're telling us, listen, we can't. So now it comes down to more of it's almost like a political issue. Who's really in charge? So in this case, it seems as if the Brazilian Health Authority has the say in this particular decision. Now, that is clearly a very strange thing. So, the local authorities came in and helped them, and they were ready to basically enforce that. And by they, I mean the Brazilian Health Authority. So, naturally, a couple questions come up. So, who gets the win? How is this going to be decided? Is it going to be cancelled? Is it going to be replayed? Is Argentina going to get the 3 points? Is Brazil going to get the 3 points? Well, it's not as straightforward as you might think, and that's why we're going through this like this. So basically, as I said before, with both the Brazilian FA, the Argentine FA, CONMEBOL, and the Brazilian government giving the okay, it's really unlikely, based on just a sporting perspective that any team is really at fault here. This is strictly a headache for the administrators of the game because, it seems like a clash of who is in charge here. Because if those people gave you the go-ahead and now the Brazilian health authorities are saying otherwise, well then that's a bit of an issue. So I don't think you can say it's Brazil's fault. I don't think you can say it's Argentina's fault, but there's actually some technicalities about that which will move along. So I'll explain that a little bit more. Another question is, and we kind of touched on this, why wait until the game started to try to apprehend the players? So, as we said before, they claimed, the Brazilian health authorities claimed that apparently the changing room was locked. Another thing I was reading, I think Gab Marcotti from ESPN said this, the health officials were awaiting a waiver from the Brazilian government that was used during the Copa America, which they never got. So apparently they said they were waiting for that, which they never got. Everybody knows that it was okay. The Copa Americas were unusual because Team Argentina would fly back to their country and back for games, which is insane, but they did it. It's amazing that they got through the tournament fitness-wise, but it worked. And that's what they're claiming. So now, another question. Who is responsible? Who is responsible for this particular... And when I say responsible, who is going to handle this situation moving forward? Who's going to make the decision? Are we going to replay this game? Which I think would be the most sensible thing. But it's very difficult because we have an already congested match fixture list because of the COVID-19 pandemic. They are already adding a third game because instead of having 2 games in the international window, they're having 3. And it was already difficult as well. And then they're going to have a second international window in a couple of weeks. I believe it's November, where they would try to get those qualifying games out in time for the World Cup. Now, that Brazil game is going to have to, if they're playing it, is going to have to squeeze in somewhere. And that's where we have to decide, okay, how is this going to go? How is this going to go? So, is it FIFA? Is it CONMEBOL? Is it the health officials in Brazil? Because I think from a pandemic perspective, which I can understand, they're trying to do the right thing and protect the country. But a sporting decision, like this has to be made. I think since it's nobody's fault in terms of the FAs, because an agreement was made, I think you can't really say who's really in charge. So I think CONMEBOL, it's going to be tricky. I think if both parties want to play that, they're going to have to speak to FIFA, I guess, and probably sacrifice what would probably be a friendly and play that. I don't know. It's very messy, and we're going to have to, fun. We're going to have to figure that out as it goes along. So I'm really condensing this for you guys. And then how will this affect the already, complicated qualifying fixture, which I just spoke about? It's going to be difficult because it's already difficult now trying to squeeze these fixtures in and try to get it done in time for a reasonable time for the World Cup, which is next year, Christmas, which is interesting. I'm actually kind of excited, but there's that's a whole other discussion with that. So we'll have to see how it goes. So that's where we're at, folks. This is a very interesting decision. Speaking to guys like Tim Vickery and so on, I looked at what they had to say. And it seems like a complete disaster in terms of administrative decision making and lack of uniformity in decision making. And clearly, this is not the last we've heard of this. Clearly, from what I'm reading here, there's something I found out, and I'm going to try to pull it up real quick. I don't know if I can find it. So everybody's asking, I'm going back to the decision-making process where they're deciding who gets the points. So apparently, a report from TNT Sports claims that should the players be banned from, meaning the Argentinian players, should the players be banned from playing or the match not take place, Argentina would be awarded the 3 points. Wow. This would be because Brazil would not be complying with what all the South American delegates agreed on, and that is that the players would be allowed to play. So according to this from TNT Sports, Argentina, based on that thing, this is not my opinion, by the way, just to clarify, that Argentina could possibly get the 3 points in this scenario. Now, this is not a final thing. I think both FAs were in good faith and they decided to play this. And I don't think that the Brazilian FA really stepped in and tried to stop this. But I think according to this, that may be a scenario. So folks, let me know what you think in the comment section below and the live chat. Do you think Argentina should get the points? Do you think Brazil should get the points? Do you think that he should just replay the game? Now that you know all the facts, rather than just reacting, oh, it's Brazil's fault, it is Argentina's fault. Now that you understand that it's clearly a clash of administrative personnel and who is really in charge, it makes things a little bit more complicated. And we try to keep things very responsible here at EXTV. And let me know your thoughts. Who do you think is going to handle this decision, and how do you think it's going to go, folks? Because I personally think it's been a farce how it was handled. In terms of, this could have been sorted out differently. I personally agree, and this is when now I am speaking as myself. I personally find it very strange that, they really waited till the game started. It just seems very weird to me. I've been around my national team, funny enough, even around the Argentinian national team. And, there's a standard thing with all national teams. They're at a certain hotel, they train at a certain time. You can't exactly hide. I mean, if they want to hide and they're at the hotel, you can just go there and say, listen, this is what's up. And, there's a lot of strange things in the story. But as it stands, the game is suspended. We'll see, we'll see if this affects the Argentina versus Bolivia game, which takes place in a couple days. But this is quite an interesting thing. And I think I did pretty well summarizing this for you all. Let me know what you think. This discussion is far from over, folks. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment in the comment section. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and don't forget to check us out on extvmedia.com, our website, which is under construction, but we always have some nifty little blogs and articles in there for you guys and gals to check out. So like I said, folks, this is Andre Sooklal of Extra Time TV. Thank you for joining us, and let me know what you think about this situation. See you around.
Just a reminder, everyone, for more episodes with Shaka Hits Luck, be sure to head over to our YouTube channel. Also, don't forget to subscribe for more updates, interviews, and content.